In this video, you will see an example of a virtual PLC meeting. We will display the 4 parts of the PLC cycle. The content might be different than in your PLC, but the cycle progression will look the same in any grade level. This video has been shortened specifically for this course. You will find the full 30-minute PLC meeting link below for optional viewing. The 4 PLC questions from the PLC cycle will be referenced. A scaled-down snapshot of their agenda can be seen to the right. The video opens roughly 10 minutes into their virtual PLC meeting with the discussion of focus and Quarter 4 common assessments. Here we go!
Let's take a quick look at our Quarter 4 common assessments document, just to make sure that we're all on the same page with what common assessments we're including on focus. All right, so far for language arts, after the presentations are all finished and after the writing is finished, we'll have 3 grades so far, but we will have another comprehension assessment that that goes with science and reading.
Earth and Mars.
Mm-hmm. So it's a compare and contrast informational text about the 2 planets, which really goes well with our research topics.
Right. And I'm wondering, for one of my groups, their topic is Mars. And I'm wondering, when they write their little essay, could they do a compare and contrast? Or are we just totally sticking with informational?
It is absolutely appropriate for you to encourage those students to choose the compare and contrast text structure. All right, what other questions or comments do you have?
If your students are typing it, are you teaching them the formatting skills, like indenting and the paragraphs and all that?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you doing a lesson on that, or just that, like, as you go?
I've been doing going with them individual to show them how to set it up. I tried to do a whole group, but a lot of them weren't ready at that time. So I've just been moving around as they're ready to get there.
The goal of this activity is for kids to love writing above all else. And the second goal is for students to learn how to teach through writing. What else do you think you need to focus on with your class to get the kids feeling better about writing?
In my class, some of my students are feeling unmotivated with their writing. They really like doing the presentation part, but they're struggling to work on their own to organize their writing. So we've really had to take a step back and start from the bare bones, how you research for a paper as opposed to how you research for a presentation with a group.
So my kids were so excited that they were pulling in all kinds of irrelevant information and actually trying to find more facts for other people's topics. So they were like going all over the place. And so we've really had to work on organization.
I had mine team up this morning to talk about what they could add to make their papers more elaborate today. And after they were done talking about it, one of my students went back to her desk and started writing a completely different paper on a completely different topic. So I was a little confused, and we sat there and talked about it, and come to find out her partner was doing the sun and stars. So she just switched. Instead of doing the moon, I was like, no, these are all your facts. Let's go back to here. So I had to redirect.
Have any of you started doing student conferences about the writing with your class? And if so, how's that going?
I've been working with mine on and off, and when I sit down with them and I see mistakes, I read it with them again, and I'm like, okay, what sounded right, what sounded wrong, and they're able to figure it out, so we're able to correct it right then.
Make sure you're building in time for student conferences with all of your students about how their writing's going. I've included some checklists that you could use into the PLC agenda to help you with your student conferences. So according to our rubric that we'll be using for grading their informational text, all right, so focus, Organization and structure is 20 points. Elaboration is 20 points. Transition words, that's worth 10 points. A lead and ending. Next Monday and Tuesday, there is a lesson on how to create a hook with an introduction paragraph. And then Tuesday's lesson is on how to create a concluding paragraph. And then finally, language and conventions is 10 points. So this was the rubric that Tiffany created for us for the science presentations. So we just want to make sure that, you know, the students are focusing on accurate information. There's a category for including enough details. And then also is the presentation creative.
I like that you're circling back and looking at each sampling of student work to make sure that y'all are all on the same page. That's a real great job.
Students have really enjoyed working together to create their slides. And you can tell in the slideshow with the backgrounds and all that they've added to it, how much work they put into it. And it's awesome to see them work together to do that.
The last thing I want us to talk about is just how is your informational writing going? And how are you feeling with our deadline of May 14th?
I was a little nervous at first, trying to do both at the same time. But they are really coming a long way. The 2 paragraphs that we have written so far, they've added detail, they've edited what they've done, and they've worked together with partners to try and help figure out areas that they can elaborate. So the 2 paragraphs they've written so far are really starting to become finalized, and they seem to be enjoying the process of doing it as well.
I'm seeing like some really good growth from my students. At first, I thought that we would be able to teach the students how to write a multi-paragraph essay within 2 weeks. And I quickly realized that's not enough time. So we extended the deadline 2 weeks later.
We've been able to work Leader and Me lessons in because I have 2 very strong personalities, and they have been able to learn to work with other people. So that's been really awesome to see.
We are noticing that I think when we've integrated more on ITV and we've been talking specifically about the habits, Think Win-Win and the emotional bank accounts, we are seeing less referrals than we have in the previous 2 weeks.
We have just a couple minutes left.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. What's left on your agenda?
Okay, that's all that we have on our agenda.
So we talked about our 4 PLC questions.
We did. Let's look back just to make sure that we covered it all. I know we talked about like our end in mind. What are we trying to teach through our writing? So there's 2 like main standards that we want the students to be able to accomplish is, you know, the researching, recalling information, gather information from print, and then also to write informational multi-paragraph texts. Number 2, how do we know if they've learned it?
And I love how you're going to be using student work in your PLC. I noticed that you have that written down, that you're going to look at the rubrics and the work together. That is so important when you're planning and preparing and making sure that you're having a consensus and you're on the same page. I love that. Good job.
Number 3, how do you know if the students are not learning it?
I'm kind of doing the same thing. I feel like they are, well, we have to go, but I feel like they're really improving with when I sit down with them.
See what 3rd graders are capable of when you give them the expectation. It's linked to the standards. I like how you integrated ELA and science together, and y'all had fun with it. Obviously, the kids enjoyed it.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, guys.